carving some time out in your day to join us for this informational session as we talk about our Caring Workplace and Caring Community program. I see some familiar faces, and I love when we can just take the next step on the journey together. So I'm excited to share this with you. And what are the possible opportunities before us? So first up, I wanted to start off and just kind of level set of why are we doing this work? What is the important pieces and what are we trying to overcome with the challenges in today's society? So maybe you've seen some of these statistics and it's actually just getting worse out there. But as we look at how many individuals are disengaged with their work and how we're seeing work being the leading cause of stress, is really concerning because we know that this does play a role on our health. And to know that your supervisor is more important to your health than your primary care physician, it is such a heavy lift to know that and be able to take on that responsibility as a leader. And so with our programs, what we're really trying to do is have leaders learn the skills and have the courage to care for those that are in their span of care. So what does caring actually look like? How do you integrate that into your organization? Because we know when we have this type of leadership in our lives, it helps with employee well-being. It helps with productivity and engagement. So as leaders, since we have those individuals in our span of care for over 40 hours, this is a great place that we can make change that will then influence our families, our workplaces, and our communities. So we launched last year our Caring Workplace and our Caring Community designation and the support that kind of wraps around your organization if you choose to go down this path with us. So I think most of you are familiar with who we are as an organization, but our vision is to imagine society where leaders have those skills and courage to care. We've actually given them the behaviors to do this and to do it well that creates those environments for well-being and flourishing. With that, it does impact our families first, our workplaces, and then go out into our communities. So we have created this approach that allows us to go from the individual all the way into community impact. And that's a little bit about what we're going to share with you today. So we know that with you being on the screen, you are part of the early adopters. You know deep down that our organizations can be a place for true good and make community change. So with our Caring Workplace, a high-level overview about this, and then we can open it up for Q&A at the end if you want to dig in even deeper. But our current Caring Workplace designation really has 4 different aspects to it. The first one is the ability to offer our transformational foundational courses to your organization. And those 3 courses are Listens, Serves, and Transforms. I'll tell you a little bit more about them in just a couple of slides. The second piece, though, is really how do we integrate those critical behaviors and supports into our organizations? Because when you actually have the accountability measures in place, the retention of the skills skyrockets. So it's important not to just have a one and done training, but a full comprehensive model that helps you learn the skills, develop the skills, and keep practicing. The third piece here is we offer data and metrics to go along with this program. So from that, there's individual data, but there's also organizational data. And we do that through the surveys after all of our classes. And then we have pulse surveys that are also done with your organization. And the satisfaction score and feeling like your organization does truly care about them is what helps you get the Caring Workplace designation. And then finally, we have continuous learning and ongoing support available through continuous education and different roundtables and ways that you can practice the skills and make sure, again, that you're adopting them. The way that we get to a caring community model is through this collective impact approach. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what does that actually mean in just a second. But through this impact model, what we do is we select a number of anchor organizations in a community and that have the caring workplace designation. And then we have those collaborating organizations come together to offer the classes to community members at large. We started this in the Roaring Fork Valley in Aspen, and we are seeing great successes, not only with just the individual organizations, but the community reach and being able to offer and open up seats to other nonprofits, maybe smaller entities, or maybe family members to continue to get that collective impact. There are a lot of great benefits to the workplace, both internal and external, when you go down the path for our caring workplaces. So we're seeing higher team member satisfaction, engagement, higher emotional intelligence, decreased conflict, because with the program, you learn how to have those conversations and create those environments. When you are a caring workplace and you are a part of the collective impact approach for the community, you have a lot of great external benefits too. I love facilitating the class, and it is because you get to interact with a vast majority of individuals in your community. They see you also representing your own organization. So again, you're just a leader in this space for how do you do leadership well, and you are recognized for that. So if you are selected to be part of the Caring Workplace program, we have supports built in. So this is not something that you're just trying to implement on your own. It's not just, okay, let me offer this listens class to my team members. You will have a full support team starting with our Caring Communities Director, which is Mickey. And she has this great pace about her and always sits in, this isn't your only job. And we realize that. So she is the person that is kind of your guide and support and continuing to move you along. We also have our Caring Workplace Logistics Leader, which is Steph. She's on the call today also. She is the one that helps you with all of the logistical pieces, setting up the meetings, how many classes do you want to have? How are we going to deliver those classes? She keeps Mickey and I very grounded and in the details to make sure that you're having the best experience possible as you walk through this program. We also have our data and metrics collection and support team that then can give you the dashboards of what are your team members thinking about the class? How are we seeing organizational change happening? And then we're able to give all of that information and data back to you so you can see the trends as you work through the program. We also have some investment support packages. So we, as a foundation, this is where we're making our investment into some of the organizations and understanding, okay, they might have this training dollars and then we can supplement with some of ours to ensure that you get all of the programs that you want to be seeing inside of your organization. And then the final bullet point here is the integration of concepts and programs. Really teaching whoever the point of contact is going to be for your caring workplace designation inside of your team, and talking about how do we actually put those accountability systems. And sometimes you might already have them, and we fully recognize that. So just ensuring that we're seeing that behavior change really take hold inside of your organization. A little bit about our data and metrics that would come available to you. First is our personal dashboards for our partners and communities. So this is the snapshot of your organization. And then we also have the individual-based surveys that really tell how much knowledge are people gaining, what is their motivation to use the skills, and what is the actual behavior change happening over the course that the classes are being delivered. And then finally, the pulse surveys and engagement surveys for the organizational impact. So as a collective group, how is the organization changing? I think it's really important to look at individual and organizational, because really organizations don't change, the people inside of them do. So it's great to see that data and how it's correlating throughout the journey with us. And when we say we're working on integrating the skills, we have the 5 pillars of caring leadership. And this is what Mickey will guide you through. In year 1, we recommend trying to accomplish just 2 of these. The first one being a culture of learning. And so this is kind of going to happen as you start integrating listens, serves, and transforms into your organization, and you're learning together. So this culture of learning gives team members the opportunity to grow and develop and ask questions, creating that environment where it's safe to say, hey, I'm trying. Maybe I haven't mastered this yet, but I will. And then the second pillar is recognition and celebration. This is the key to really make sure that we're recognizing those in our span of care that are doing great work, whether it can be the effort that they're putting in, the excellence of the project that they're doing, or how are they embodying the message of this program that you are trying to put into place. The remaining three pillars, we work on your timetable of how do you want to integrate those into your organization. We do have a ton of supports that help you do that. So intentionally connecting with those in your span of care. What are the prompts? What are the behaviors? And again, making sure that it's happening inside of your organization. From there, we have trust and meaningful work. We have programs that help you from a leader lens of how do you build trust on your team, but we also then have it from an individual lens, or what are the individual trust building behaviors that we can have. And then finally, meaningful work. Why does this work matter? How does it move our vision forward? Because when we can connect those dots for those in our span of care, their engagement, their satisfaction with their roles does increase. So like I said, Mickey would be your guide along this process, only taking on what you are comfortable with. We're not going to say, do all of this in year one. We really take into consideration what time do you have available to be doing and working on this. I also want to acknowledge that this journey, it is a continuous process of growth and understanding. The issues in your organization will never disappear. There's always something happening, right, in our lives. But it's this, how do we have the skills and the tools to be able to maintain or strengthen that relationship even when we're going through something that is tough? And that's how we show care. So I think that's important to know, that it doesn't mean that you're never going to have a hard conversation again. It's just now you'll have the skills and tools at your disposal to be able to make that the best experience possible for both parties involved. So a little bit about our educational framework and the courses that we have available. For our curriculum impact, we follow a me, we, and us positive psychology model. So the first piece is the me, and that is where our community listens comes in. It's all about us and building better relationships and building better connection. How do we have those conversations to ensure that we're helping our relationships instead of hindering them? The second piece from the we part of that is our community serves. We now take the focus of how do we go from a me-centric culture to a we-centric culture with those we-centric leadership behaviors. And also emotional awareness and emotional intelligence are also focused in on that class. The final piece then, getting to us, is our community transforms. And this one is more from an organizational development lens. So now everybody on your team has the two skills from listens and serves. How do we start to embed them into our organization? And still there is a piece of the individual leader and values-based leadership, and how does that show up? So like I said, we develop leaders in two ways. First is to build emotional intelligence. And then the second piece is teaching leaders how to create caring environments and well-being or through flourishing. Listens, serves, and transforms, but I'll go here and tell you a little bit about this. I believe everybody has been through listens. Mickey, is that a true assessment? I see a lot of head nods. Okay, I'll just go really quickly through this then. Listens is our 3-day experience. Again, really focusing in on us and our communication and how do we communicate better with those in our span of care. So we use the DISC behavioral tendency tool, but what's really unique about ours, it's not just us. We actually learn how to identify different behavioral tendencies and learn the strategies to be able to communicate to them better. Day 2 is all about listening and acceptance versus agreement. And day 3 is about effective confrontation and the change process each one of us has to go through. From there is Our Community Serves. This one is a 2-day experience, and it's really, again, focusing on shifting to we-centric cultures and not just focusing in on me, the individual, anymore. So we talk about what is this culture of service? It is not volunteer service, it is not community service, but it's being of service to those in our span of care that have a need. We talk about 3 service mindsets that can get in the way of service. And the first one is all about emotional awareness. What are our emotional catalysts? Because if we don't know them as leaders, they can have really negative impacts on our relationships if someone is going to hit a catalyst for you. The second one then is perception, understanding that we all have a unique lens that is built through our past experiences, our behavioral tendencies, and that colors the way that we see the world. And so when we can say, oh, if we're looking at the same thing, but we're both seeing different things, what is the why behind that and getting to that understanding? Day 2 then starts us off with the service mindset number 3, which is the accountability. We're trying to shift the 5 destructive behaviors of an individual into the 5 accountability mindsets and behaviors. And then we learn about the service cycle. How do we set clear expectations? How do we close the loop and actually be of service to others? And then we have Our Community Transforms. This is a virtual cohort experience. This is designed for higher level leaders in the organization that can really make an impact and maybe sometimes change policy. So with the 6 sessions, we always start our first session off with learning more about us. And so that's that values-based leadership session. Then we talk about meaning and purpose and how do we connect individuals to the purpose that they are playing inside of the organization. And we give you tools to be able to do that. Session number 2 is all about building trust and psychological safety. It's a critical piece if we're trying to get to caring leadership. Session number 3 is all about feedback that inspires change. So how do we move individuals into a new space? So with that, we learn a different model for feedback. And then we also have coaching sessions that you're learning along the way, where you get to learn coaching skills and coach peer-to-peer. So you will be a coach and also receive coaching if you're in that class. We talk about organizational storytelling. What's the story that we want to tell about our organization and how are we making this shift to being a caring workplace? And then session number 5 is just leveraging the strengths for successful change. We look at a organizational change model and how can we see the individuals in that and actually move things forward for us. And then you just have a capstone for the project, and that would wrap up that cohort experience for you. With all of our classes, we never want them to just be a sit and get or, okay, I learned that, but now what? So we have a lot of continuous learning opportunities that go along that can support the behavior change and some learning supports to make sure that you're staying in the content as much as possible. Okay. So as I mentioned before, we do have some investment and support options available for organizations that want to go through the program. So with this, we are really looking at how do we have collective impact in our communities and who are our typical partners. So you can see here, we work mainly with nonprofits, but we also understand that businesses are a really important piece for community building too. But this is typically where we're making our investments: military, healthcare, education, local governments, including policing and fire. And as I said, it's through this collective impact movement, not just giving the class to an organization, but having the class be for individuals that can come together then and make an even bigger impact. So we're all working towards this common agenda. We have shared measurements that we put together. The mutually reinforcing activities come down to our continuous learning opportunities. And then we are the backbone and support organization that is meeting with you, keeping everything moving, and then seeing how we are creating that caring community together. So if you wanted to move forward with putting in an application to be part of this next cohort, there would be varied levels of investment packages available to you based upon the size of the organization, your potential impact. Um, it's really important that people understand that we are really looking for partners that want to change their communities. It's not just focused solely on the individual organization, but how do we continue with that ripple effect? So Mickey, why don't you tell us a little bit about the caring workplace phases and timelines?
Hey, thanks, Misty. So what we're going to do, folks, is we have this webinar today. We also have a webinar tomorrow. Following the end of those two webinars, you will get an email from me that will have the recording of the webinar that you participated in. It will have the full application and some other information you might need. I would encourage you, if you're here and you're part of a leadership team for your organization, or someone else from your organization wanted to be here, share that webinar recording with them so they can see everything that's involved and get all that information for themselves. Applications can start, once you look at the application and you review this with your leadership team, applications can start coming in right away. Again, you'll get an email from me, and Stephanie, my fabulous teammate, will be copied on that. Chances are, if you decide to do the application, you're going to have questions along the way. Please do not hesitate to email me, call me, text me, whatever works for you in the moment. It's completely fine. Stephanie and I will either jump on a call with you, or just, if it's pretty easy, answer it in an email or a text, whatever you need. The application process is not your commitment to the project. It's just the next layer. You might get through the application and get into us designing the investment package for you and say, hey, maybe we need to wait a little bit to do this. So please don't see that as the full commitment level. It's your chance to go that next layer with us. As applications come in, what Stephanie and I will do is take a look at the scope of your project, meaning how many employees do you have? How many alumni do you have? How fast are you thinking you want to get people through things like listens, serves, etc.? And we will put together an initial budget for your project. Those budgets can look drastically different. I have one partner that's been with us since the beginning of 2024. She's 50 people. And when we started the Caring Workplace project with her, 45 of her folks had already been through listens. So we really didn't need to focus our budget planning around that, because she's kind of in almost maintenance mode for getting her folks through listens. We also have a fire department that we're working with that's quite large in South Carolina. They had 4 people that had been through listens. So that's a little bit bigger focus of our budget and our scope of work of building their alumni base. It's going to look different for everybody. Once those budgets are built, if you are accepted as a partner, we'll work together to see what your investment in that package is and what our investment in that package. And then after we announce our selections in August, because applications are due August 1st, we'll spend, for folks that are going to kind of start that journey with us, we'll spend September through October doing some more intensive planning, start to think about 2025 programming, and then we'll officially launch somewhere between November and January, depending on where you are with things, maybe where you're located, how big your organization is. Again, like Misty said, Stephanie and I personalize this journey for you. We know you have other jobs. We know you have work to do. Our goal is not to get you through fast. It's to get you through at a pace that works for you. And it is different for every single organization that we work with.
All right. Before we open it up for questions, again, I'm so excited that you've come to this webinar and to learn a little bit more about it. This work can be hard, but it is well worth it as we start to see our organizations change, and that change impacts our family lives and what is being taken home with them every single night. So thank you for being the early adopters of this type of leadership, and we can't wait to see what applications are going to come in.